If you're a fan of the iPhone and MacBooks, then you've probably seen this thing before. The little notch at the top of the screen that houses the camera and the infamous Do Not Disturb light. But what if I told you that this is not where the camera is? And in fact, there's a secret second camera right here in the hinge of your MacBook. Well, don't believe me? Let me show you. I'm going to take apart my brand new 2023 M2 MacBook Air to show you exactly what I mean. So while we can't open up an Apple product without the help of some screwdrivers, it's actually quite easy to do. All you need is 2 sets of these P5 pentelobe screws, one for the bottom case and another for the top case. And after unscrewing all of them, well, guess what? We can open up the MacBook. As we pry apart the cases, we'll have to detach the display and set it aside, and we finally get a good look inside. And there's a lot to take in. We'll get to the good stuff in just a minute, but first let's disconnect the battery ribbon cable so we don't accidentally cause a short or worse. Start a fire. And now we can remove the bottom case screws and take off the case itself. You might be thinking, okay, the speaker grills, the USB ports, the MagSafe charging socket, even the keyboard. How does he possibly fit all of that into such a thin case? Let me show you. Right above the keyboard is this flex cable that routes over to the other side of the laptop and connects to a board that controls all of these ports. Speakers and the keyboard itself. It's incredible how much functionality is packed into this tiny connector, and even more impressive how thin it all is. But enough about the outside, let's see what's inside. First, we have to get rid of this metal plate that covers the logic board, and that's where we find the answer to our original question. Here's the main logic board with the famous Apple logo and the M2 chip that makes this laptop go bleep bloop. And here are the trap connectors that control the trackpad and the keyboard. But what about the camera? Where is that? Well, if we flip the board over, we see that the camera is right here under the Apple logo. But wait a second. Doesn't this look familiar? Yes. Because this is the same exact design as the camera housing on the iPhone. This lens is identical to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Which leads me to believe that this entire assembly is also used in the iPhone. They simply reused the design by orienting it vertically instead of horizontally. And no, that's not an April Fool's joke. This is the same part number as the iPhone camera, just to prove it. I even ordered one from an online repair store. So now we have 2, actually 3, cameras that all look the same. Here are the 3 cameras laying out side by side. And you might be wondering, why does a MacBook need 3 cameras? Well, the simple answer is that the third camera is right here in the hinge of the MacBook. This is the hidden camera that no one ever knew about until just recently, when a Reddit user discovered it. At first glance, it looks like just a small rectangular object, but after closer inspection, we realize that it is in fact a camera. We know this because it has a lens, an image sensor, infrared LEDs, and a tiny circuit board attached to the front of it. And remember, the MacBook already had 2 cameras. The one in the hinge was likely used for Face ID to unlock the laptop and make purchases. But that never came to fruition for some reason. Maybe Apple thought it wasn't secure enough. To prove that this is indeed a camera, I want to compare it to the iPhone's TrueDepth camera. If we cut away the plastic housing, we find that they both have the same lens and the same size image sensor. Now let's plug the MacBook's camera back into the laptop and see if it really works. After connecting the camera back into the hinge, we can test it out in Photo Booth. And hey presto, it actually works. This camera definitely needs some optimization because the image quality is horrible, but it does work. In fact, we can also use it in Zoom, Skype, or any app that uses the camera. So this is a real working camera that's hidden inside of your MacBook. But why did Apple put a second camera in the hinge if no one could see it? Well, it turns out that there are a couple ways to activate it. First, you can push down on the lid and it will pop open to reveal the camera. Or if you happen to look underneath the laptop, you'll notice that the bottom case is actually translucent right here. And if you angle the laptop just right, you can see the camera clearly through the bottom case. But if you want to see this in action, check out this video where a Redditor demonstrates how it works. You can see that the quality isn't great, but it's definitely usable. Plus, it's always nice to have an extra camera. But what if you want to disable it since you can see the camera? Well, unfortunately, you can't really cover it up without blocking the hinge. In fact, Apple made it almost impossible to remove it. There are no screws, clips, or obvious ways to disassemble the hinge. However, we managed to figure out how to remove it. And if you want to know how, I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, you might be wondering, is this camera an invasion of privacy? Could hackers somehow access it? The simple answer is no. This camera is not connected to anything. It's not hooked up to the logic board, nor does it connect to the trap. Instead, it's physically disconnected. And even if it wasn't, this camera is nothing special. It's just a normal camera. So even if it was hooked up, you'd just be able to tell because the LED would turn on. Plus, this camera is not facing the keyboard like some laptops. It's facing straight up, so you wouldn't be able to see the screen or the keyboard. Therefore, this camera was probably meant to be used for Face ID, but Apple never finished implementing it. But what do you think about this hidden camera? Are you surprised that Apple didn't include it in the product marketing images? Personally, I'm happy that it's there. More cameras equal better cameras. But what do you think? Leave a comment down below and let me know. While you're at it, consider subscribing. It really helps me grow. Oh, and one last thing. This laptop is going back to Apple because it has a screen problem. That's right. As soon as I opened up the package, I noticed that there was a dead pixel. Yes, I know what you're thinking. You're overreacting. A single dead pixel is nothing, but you're wrong. Apple sells their brand new MacBook Air for $1,199, even though this is their cheapest laptop offering. It should still work properly. So if you're buying a new MacBook, make sure that you inspect it thoroughly. And don't worry, I'll be sure to do a full review once I get a replacement, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.